Alright, hello. My name's David or Panda, whatever you know me by. This could be a probably not a quick, it's probably gonna be like 20 minutes. This could be a showcase of my budget Shaper Slam build. When I say budget, I don't mean like budget as in like you're not paying a lot of divines. I mean budget as in like this is Shaper Slam from Walmart or Wish or whatever. It's like a dollar store Shaper Slam. The gist of this build is that we are using the Venarius Astrolabe, which is like a really shitty version of Replica's Dragon Fangs. You basically need to get all the influences across the entirety of your gear to get +3 to level of all elemental skill gems, support gems, and you get elemental conflux, meaning that you always inflict ignite, chill, and shock. Now, when it comes to inflicting all three of those things, that's 3 out of 6, or I should say 7 of the ailments, right? Because you'll get freeze, but you still have Scorch, Brittle, and Sap to take care of, which I've taken care of by using a Leadership's Price Merc over here. Turns out these guys have attributes. If you go into stats, you can see them right here. And yeah, they actually can get leadership price. So I get the last 6, we'll say, ailments from this guy, the alternate ailments. So that's 6 ailments in total. With that, I am deciding to use, I don't know why I walked away. Uh, I decided to use the taming. Now you'll notice that this is a warlord taming. Good luck getting this shit. I used the new chance craft, bench craft to get the expensive one. I think that's barracks respite, and I just bought the other two pretty much, and then I vendor recipeed all 3 to get myself a warlord taming. But we reflected with Calandra's touch. So if we have 6 ailments, 1 ring gives us about 240% increased elemental damage. Reflected, that's 480 increased elemental damage with hits. Now, back to Venarius Amulet, I thought to myself, well, if I'm gonna go with this whole influence joke, I might as well try the new jewel, which is Bound by Destiny. Now, most people have been cooking with the 2X items mod, but I decided to take advantage of the 6 item mod, which is maximum endurance charges. Well, this one is +1 maximum endurance charges. Obviously, frenzy charge stacking with Slayer or Trickster, I believe. Yeah, Trickster is much better, but I went with endurance charges because not a lot of people are taking advantage of endurance charges right now. Of course, power charges are always going to be popular with Void Battery and Occultist and whatnot. But as you can see, +1 maximum endurance charges. We're on Juggernaut, who also gets +1 maximum endurance charges. What are we going to do with all these endurance charges? Well, we're going to use Consecrated Path of Endurance, which gives us 10% more attack damage and area of effect. It's also an elemental attack, so we get to use the +3 from Venarius as well. But with all of this endurance charge scaling, what else are we going to use aside from Nebulock? This is like the world's most hipster build setup, right? Dual Nebulock endurance charge stacking Juggernaut. But what's nice is that Nebulock is an elder item, so these 2 elder items, well, these 2 Nebulocks, uh, pretty much count for my Venarius Astrolabe condition. And if you really wanted to, you could get a 4 elder items mod. I couldn't find a good one, so I just went with 2 Crusader and 6 Warlord. But because these are elder items, it helps out, and we get a bunch of more bonuses for endurance charges. And then we get to use Echoes of Creation, which is a Warcry based helmet. I'm sure you guys have seen this all throughout the league with Volcanic Fissure of Snaking and all that good stuff. This is a Shaper item, so that fits in just fine. And at the end of the day, with +1 endurance charges from the boots, I believe we get +1 from Sublime Vision. Yep, determination only. Uh, and then just the rest of the tree, like 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and whatnot. We end up with 10 endurance charges. Now, it's a nice even number, first of all, but I made this crazy ass Hunter Warlord chest, and you'll notice the Essence mod on here is 10% reduced extra damage from crits per endurance charge. Uh, that's pretty self-explanatory. Now I'm crit immune, and the rest of my gear is pretty much just what's the word? Evening out the influences. Like I get Redeemer from here, my gloves. I get Crusader from the boots. Just pretty much get everything here. I have a Headhunter. I opted for Headhunter. I used to have a Redeemer Warlord belt, which will get you, I believe, increased damage against chilled enemies, which were always chilling enemies. I opted for Headhunter after a while. It's really cheap right now because everybody that had a Headhunter is selling it to get a Mage Blood. So getting to use a Headhunter, I'm happy with that. The rest of the build is just Warcry, attacks, Mana Leech, Mace stuff. It's pretty self-explanatory. I just have to run through any of this, but we are using a bunch of Warcries, and our only auras are, well, actual auras, I should say, is Determination, Herald of Ash, and Blood and Sand. That should be it. I think I've described pretty much everything. Oh, we're converting 100% of Fizz to Fire with this Fire Mastery and this Glove Craft, so we're not doing any physical damage in case you guys weren't aware. But more importantly, I want to show you the build itself because this is just a visual delight. I bought all the MTX for this like just in the last few days because I was in love with the build. I wanted to see what could show up. We're going to be using the Celestial Consecrated Path and the Celestial Herald effect because we are Shaper. This will be, hopefully, I don't make a fool of myself in 6 portal this map. This is a pretty juiced, I believe this is 6 mod. Yeah, 6 mod, T16.5, Jungle Valley, Ritual, you know the deal. Yeah.
You are not conquering the Atlas. It is
I don't really want
you.
anybody to copy this build, and because there's just better builds out there. Like if you want to play Tectonic Slam of Cataclysm, I think it's called, that may be more to your liking. But I just wanted to show the build really, because it's just been an absolute just pleasure to play. Like, you see, all we do is just press Q. Every now and then I will Enduring Cry for the regen. You take a lot of damage over time with this build, but we have at any given time, like you can see, we have 1,000 life regen. Sometimes I've seen it go up to 2,000 because we are just at maximum mitigation. Oh, I should explain. We are pretty much ailment immune. We have, I believe, Ignite immunity from the Endurance Charge Mastery. At the bottom of the tree, we have Chill and Freeze immunity by way of the Juggernaut's Unstoppable node, the one that makes it so that your speed can't go below base. And then we get Shock immunity from the Bound by Destiny jewel, which provides that when we have 2 Crusader items. Now, the Astrolabe itself is all of the influences, so that plus my boots makes me shock immune. Yeah, I just run around, I press Q. I was doing an Essence strat last night that made me... Well, I invested 20 divs into it, and then I made 40 divs, so that's a 20 div profit. I'm at 50 divs now, but my hand's a little tired of clicking all those essences, so that's why we're doing this little ritual strat for the video. But you can see, pretty hard to go wrong, and we're stealing a bunch of mods. That's actually why I want to do an Essence strat. I was doing Scoured T16 silos, I believe. Because all the essences are rares. We steal rare mods. What more could you want? No, I should have put a timeline scarab on this. I just won't do the alpha then if we're gonna have this scarab, or we're gonna have this corruption chamber room so early. We are using Oriat's End. The Oriat's End is the reason I'm not using Avatar of Fire, because then you're pretty much only getting Oriat's End value like a third of the time. So I decided to instead convert all my fire, or all my physical to fire, so that we can still do cold and lightning damage, because Oriat's End will sometimes explode as cold or lightning, and I still want the damage for that. Which, by the way, should scale with the taming. Yeah, I said I wouldn't do it. I opened up the next one. God damn it. Bestiary Scarab. No, thank you. We're getting endurance charges from the medium cluster jewel that gives charges when you Warcry, and we have auto exert. I'm fairly certain that's how that works anyways. I may be wrong, but yeah. We are using a Rallying Cries Merc because that's just the best Merc right now for pretty much any physical damage build. You can get away with a super juiced Anger Smolder Strike Merc, but I have a item on my Merc that... Oh shit, hold on. Look at that. How are you not gonna feel good about that? We have a item on our Merc that makes it so that War Cries cover enemies in Ash. You might remember Infernal Cry used to do that, but now it doesn't, so that's what I'm doing. And then we just have a bunch of War Cry buff effect with a High Fizz item. Eventually, I'm sure I can upgrade this guy, but for now, it's just Rallying Cry. Sometimes he steel skins me, and that's pretty much it. And it's important to make sure that he doesn't roll Brutality on stuff, because I feel like Brutality prevents him from doing these Conflux things, but otherwise I haven't really had any problems with him. And he hasn't died either, so definitely not worried about that. I might do another map just because this map seems to be over pretty quickly, but that's what happens when you play this build, I'll be real with you. But you can see, just pressing Q, everything gets exerted, big damage, great bosser. Because we're playing Juggernaut, we get more physical and elemental damage reduction from our endurance charges. So we end up with like, well, we have 10 endurance charges and we get 5 of each per. So we end up with like 50% raw EDR and PDR, which is not something you really get to experience normally. The real problem with this build is that we don't have on-hit recovery, which is usually a pretty nice layer. Instead, we just have like a lot of life regen, which can take a while to proc. So if 2 big hits come in, you might live, but not for much longer, if that makes sense. Also, you can see I get big shocks because we're doing so much slam damage. So this build can like consistently hit 50% shocks, which is always nice to see. Hopefully I get like a Mage Blood or something from this ritual. I mean, that's why I'm recording the video, right? It's so I can get better loot on recording. Tier 4, kind of fake Vanguard build. I've like never seen this. Just checking through everything here. Tier 3, kind of fake, evasion, lightning res, gem cutters. Now, I mean, when you have 50 divs in your stash, I'm not really picking up the small stuff. So if somebody's watching this, they're like, "Why didn't he pick that up?" It's like, I'm sorry, bro. It's not in my, it's not in my mental space right now. Let's pick that up. Hidden compartments. I don't think that's the good one. Omen of Return, kind of fake. Raw Orb. No, it doesn't look like we have anything crazy. We have another tier 1 int. I will take that. Anytime there's a tier 1 fracture, I'm down to take it and then put it up for sale later. But alright. That's pretty much the map. Let's see. I think I've covered pretty much everything here. Yeah, I don't think I have anything left to say. I'm currently level 96, so this guy's obviously super tanky. Right now I'm just sitting in my hideout and I have 38k armor, which is I think more than my Guardian has. By the way, I hit my level 100 on that Guardian, so if you come here from the Poison Dominating Blow character, just let it be known that guy took me pretty much through this whole league. Give him some love, check him out on PoE Ninja. But yeah. Oh, I know what you mentioned. So Chaos Res, you're looking at this, you're like, only 11 Chaos Res, but each of these Nebulocks give Chaos Res per endurance charge, and as you know, we have 10. So 40% Chaos Res per endurance charge. I believe I'm at 1 minimum, so you have to account for that, but this pretty much caps our Chaos Res on its own, which is really nice. And yeah, let me quickly look at the tree, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, Light of Meaning for the other half of the Chaos Res. That's really nice. We use Forbidden Flame and Flesh to get Tukohama's War's Herald for Fist of War support, I believe it's called, which is just like a 7 link on a slam. And yeah, here's the Charge Mastery. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. I know that was kind of sporadic, but just kind of a quick showcase, a quick recording, at least by my standards. Take care. Have a good weekend.